What's up, everybody? Yes. You know what time it is. It's Friday. It's 12 noon. It's time for the Entrepreneurial Web. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox. Before I introduce my guest today, I would like to share with you the message. This is a message. Today's show, once again, shocker, is about martial arts. One of my passions has been a source of income for me as well over the last few years. In the martial arts school I teach at, Sun Dojo, where I'm staff, I've been an instructor for the last 3 years. We constantly share martial arts values. Just as important as the physical training itself is the mental training. And this is something my professor, Professor Stuart Carroll, has said many times over the year. It's had a profound effect on me today. It pertains to everybody's current situation in ways you could barely imagine. And that message is, it is better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. We are all facing some very serious challenges right now. The mental training is super important, as well as the physical, because gyms have been closed for a long time. And after yesterday's report, it don't look like they're going to be open anytime soon. So I'm going to bring on my guest. His name is Rahul Bhowmick. He is a martial arts instructor at Bronx Martial Arts. He's also got a background in pharmaceuticals. He's a personal trainer and just an all-around hustler. He's based out of New York City as well, which it's great that we're keeping it close because this is apparently one of the safest places in the country right now. So, Rahul, are you here? Are you with us? Can you hear me? Can you see me?
What's up, Jeremiah? I'm doing good. How are you?
Got your guard up?
Yes, sir. Got it up.
Nice. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. Doing pretty good.
Great. Are you in Queens right now? Is that correct?
Yes, I'm in Queens, Forest Hills.
Awesome. Well, we're on opposite ends of the F train.
Nice.
I'm in Windsor Terrace in Brooklyn. So we can take a quick commute and catch up. So awesome. Thank you for agreeing to come on the show. Welcome. Why don't you start by awesome. Thank you. Why don't you start by giving everybody a little bit of your background? I know we talked briefly the other day, and you studied pharmaceuticals. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I'm pretty much a pharmacist turned fighter. I went to school for pharmacy, went to St. John's University, got my doctorate degree in pharmaceutical sciences.
Whoa.
And I've been raised I'm Indian, so I'm South Asian. So South Asian parents' dream is always to child or daughter or son to become a doctor.
Right.
I was really good in chemistry in college. In high school. And in high school, I was good in chemistry, math, physics. So I was really bouncing ideas. My mom was like, I was really simple, young kid. My mom was like, you can make a lot of money as a pharmacist. I was like, sure, why not? And I ran with that. So I went to 6 years of pharmacy school. And then as I graduated in 2010, I've been doing martial arts all my life since I was 5. And basically, as I was studying for my board exams, I started training again. And then as I was training, I realized that teaching is something I'm so much better at and I enjoy a lot. And I happened to have a stroke of luck and got an opportunity to teach at Bronx Martial Arts. I ran with it. I thought it was something it was just going to be for the time being. But as time passed, I just knew that this was what I was supposed to do for the rest of my life. And I just took that and I ran with it. And here I am now.
Where'd you go to high school at?
I went to Brooklyn Tech.
Nice. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm a New Yorker, man. I raised in Queens, went to high school in Brooklyn, work in the Bronx, work in Manhattan. I've lived in Manhattan too. That's pretty much New York, man.
And you got to retire in Staten Island to complete the...
Maybe. Circle the whole thing up.
Right. And what was your background in martial arts? Give us like the timeline from beginning, like when you started young. I mean, it's probably like me. I started, my first thing was karate when I was like 8 years old, Go ahead,
basically, growing up in New York in the 90s, it was not easy,
Yeah.
So back in the day, and my family came, and we were moving from neighborhood to neighborhood. So as a young kid, it's difficult to make friends, easy to be picked on. So my parents were like, all right, we're just sick of this. You need to just grow up here. So we're like, we're going to put you in martial arts. And I was a big fan of the Ninja Turtles, So
oh, yeah.
My parents were like, all right, like, do you want to learn karate? I was like, yeah, for sure. So I went to train, and I started I started in Shotokan Karate, and I went to my sensei's dojo, which is in Steinway, Sensei Kai Leung at Shotojuku Dojo. I started at the age of 5, and I got my black belt at the age of 12, my first degree black belt. So that was that. In my teenage years, I played a lot of basketball, so I stopped training martial arts. But when my dreams of making the NBA kind of died, because I didn't grow any taller than 5'9", I went back to martial arts, and I was like, and I always wanted to go back to martial arts. My mom always told me that you should go back, don't just get your black belt and leave. I was super scared that I forgot everything and I had to start over. So I was like, there's no way I could do that all over again. But, I met my sensei at a Christmas party, and he was like, you definitely remember everything. It's just like riding a bike. We'd love to have you back. So I jumped back in my teens, between 15 to 18. I went full steam. I started competing a lot, and I was pretty successful locally. And then from there, I went to college. College, I took a break. I tried to train at the same time, but it was a little difficult. I was in a direct program at St. John's in a doctorate program, so the workload was pretty heavy.
Sure.
After I graduated, I immediately went back. It was not even a question. There's no hesitation or whatever. I immediately went back. But at this time, I wanted to challenge myself a little bit, and I started training Muay Thai. So that was in about like 2010, 2011. I started off at Satan Gym, which is in Queens, pretty famous gym. And I trained there for a little bit. Financially, I just couldn't train for too long. So I whatever time I trained there for, I just took that, continued to study for my boards, got the opportunity to teach at Bronx Martial Arts in 2012. I also started teaching as an adjunct professor in 2010 as well. So I taught for CUNY Hostess College. I taught classes in nutrition, medical terminology, and I also taught karate over there as a phys ed class. So,
nice.
Yeah. So, and I always, at the end of my college years, I had a feeling that teaching is something that I was better at. Like, I like working with people. I like mentorship. I enjoyed the physical aspect. I like being an athlete. So it's just finding that balance. I was thinking about whether I should be a college professor, and then being a martial arts instructor just happened to land in my lap. And I just went the route of martial arts. And, I haven't looked back at all. Got my certification in personal training in 2017. And then from there, started doing personal training, started, doing teaching martial arts since 2012. I'm in charge of the karate program at Bronx Martial Arts. And I started training Muay Thai. And then around 2012, I was under the instruction of Joey Hernandez, who is an instructor at Bronx Martial Arts, who also happens to come from Satan Gym as well. So I've been training Muay Thai under him for that time. And then around, I wanted to learn boxing because I wanted to see myself as a person that was sort of like a striking specialist, Mm-hmm. I wanted to curate myself, understand more than just karate, more than just Muay Thai, more than just boxing. Art has something to offer, and I want to understand that and also be able to help any of my students that was trying to maybe learn different arts, because this is an MMA era. It's very important to remember that, and everyone is curious about different things. Unfortunately, I feel like people dabble, but with my experience and with my teaching, I have just a traditional background, so I've stayed with something for a long time. And I feel like I could help people really understand the nuances and the details of every little art. I found my boxing coach around 2017. I was hopping around the city, going around to different boxing gyms, taking different classes. And I started training with his Freddie Soto, who trains at a World Fight. Mm-hmm. And I started working with them, and that's pretty much it. Once I found my instructors, I was like, okay, here we are.
Nice. And then, so you taught nutrition and medical terminology, and you studied pharmaceuticals. Have you found a way to connect all of that with martial arts instruction? Like you were mentioning being a personal trainer, becoming certified as a personal trainer. Have you found some success kind of packaging that all together as a singular service?
Yeah. So basically, what the benefit of having all this knowledge of pharmacy and nutrition and medical terminology is understanding the human body on a very scientific level, you know?
Yeah.
Also, what's great is that there's a lot of misinformation out there when it comes to training, and like people are always being sold like fast training, fast results.
Yes.
And I'm able to decipher a lot of these scientific points and be able to explain to my clients in layman's terms, like, this is not exactly what it is, because all the fine print details is really much where the truth is, you know?
Yeah.
So pretty much through training, I've been able to, through all this knowledge, I've been able to sort of understand the science behind things, which gives everyone a huge advantage, all my clients a huge advantage. Understand the body from an anatomical level as a fully functioning machine. What's funny story is that before pharmacy, I actually wanted to be an engineer, you know? And now I actually feel like I'm back at engineering, because engineering is all about building, and now I'm just working with people and building people, you know? So I feel like I'm right back at home where what I'm supposed to be doing. So, but as a singular service, I just have a good understanding of everything from a scientific aspect, which I feel is very important, because a lot of things are just put out there, and you need to kind of like do your detective work to make sure the legitimacy, the testing that's done, the experiments that's done for whether it's this food or, this new diet that's out there,
right?
Things like that.
Right, because there are some things that are have historically been tried and tested, and they work. And then there's a bunch of Amazon Prime kind of, deliver in 2 days, and you're going to be, super fit.
Yes.
Absolutely true. And it's great because we get the same kind of instruction from our school as well, where our instructors, the two that own it, were acupuncturists. They met in acupuncture school, and they were always into, particular type of healing. They've studied anatomy in a huge way, nutrition, and that's always offered. And you can't just expect you're going to go to the gym and just work out alone. And voila, you're like, fine. You need to understand more the base level, both mental, scientifically, like you said, and physically about what's going on.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, we're going to take a short break here. We're going to come back in a few minutes, and I want to pick up with how you and I kind of connected, which was via TikTok.
Yes, TikTok.
Of all things, two grown-ass men
on TikTok.
connecting through TikTok. So I'll lay a little foundation about what TikTok is for all the people listening that are like, what is TikTok? And we'll kind of talk about what's happening right now, and then hopefully the future. All right, we'll be back in just a few. Everybody, you're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network. Do you run or are ready to open your own business? Hi, I'm Jeremiah Fox. I've been operating and opening small business for the last 25 years, and I'm the host of the new show, The Entrepreneurial Web. Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern Time for insights and stories on the nuances of running small business right here on Fridays at noon, talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
Okay, everybody, welcome back again. It's Friday, 12 to 1 o'clock, Entrepreneurial Web time. We're going round for round today with my guest, Rahul Bhowmick. We're coming from New York City. I'm in Brooklyn. He's in Queens. We're on the F train, and we're about to kick it off. He is a martial arts instructor. He is a personal trainer. You got a PhD, did you say, in pharmaceuticals? Are you here, Rahul?
Sorry.
There you go. Are you with us? I heard you for a second. I heard you apologize. No apologies.
Yeah, I'm here.
There we go.
Yeah,
no
sorry.
apologies on the radio.
No problem.
There's no crying in baseball. No apologies in the radio. You said you had a PhD in pharmaceuticals, correct?
Yes, sir. It's specifically a PharmD, so a doctorate of pharmacy. Yeah.
That is commitment. And you were talking earlier about martial arts too, like not hopping around, like picking, which is it's a core value of martial arts. Like you pick you team up with a school and an instructor, and you commit, you stick with it.
Commit to them, yes.
You're all about the commitment.
Yeah, I guess, that's the secret. That's the secret sauce of success,
Right?
You can't just dabble around, can't hop around. I tell people all the time that I think the most important story we were told as kids is the story of the rabbit and the tortoise,
Mm-hmm.
And, it's all about, have you have a big goal of small steps on a daily basis? Yeah. And, we're always sold that fast thing, but we always want to be the hare, but the tortoise is the one that wins.
So one of the things you've committed to recently is the app TikTok, social media app, video-based, but kind of like Instagram, but with video in kind of interactive way. I think it was the most downloaded app in the App Store in 2019, like bazillions of gazillions of users, and it was dominated largely by like 7 to 12-year-olds at first, and then it like aged up a little bit. But normally, like last year, when you open your app and your feed, it was a bunch of like young kids dancing and duetting and like kind of battling. So it was like it's also, for those of you that are listening, it has a music undertone, which is really great because it's got a bunch of amazing, like very popular tunes from currently, like the top 40 hits of today, but goes all the way back to like Sinatra and everything like that. The wonderful thing about using TikTok and how I was attracted to it was that you could use that music and post it to your other social media if it was embedded with the TikTok logo without any repercussion. But if you tried to, rip an Usher song and put it on your Facebook post for your restaurant, like I tried to do once, they block you, or Usher calls you and he's like, yo, you could use it. You just got to pay me. So the cool thing about TikTok is you could use Usher, and as long as you use it you build the video within the app, you can repost to Instagram or Twitter or to any of your other social media platforms where you're trying to promote, especially your business. I'm not sure how they treat personal accounts, but I know for business, because I run a few business accounts on social media, they were like, nah, you can't do that. But then I was able to use it for doing like cool videos for my restaurant or for the wine store or whatever. And even the dojo, I would record parts of class and I'd mash it all up. And then I'd rip like Eye of the Tiger. And it was just like the coolest thing ever, So that's how I got started in it. And then my kids were like, oh, you're on TikTok. And then it's turned into this whole thing. But Give us your kind of history with TikTok, and I know there's a little Gary Vee in there, which is what I'm a huge fan of as well.
So I mean, like I said, once I changed my career from pharmacy to martial arts and personal training, one of my big goals is to be a big time athlete and competitor. So I just didn't want to be some dude teaching karate in some corner of the city, because there's so many black belts in karate, and it's happening in jiu-jitsu as well. There's so many black belts in jiu-jitsu, and being a black belt for a long time, what makes you special? Okay, it's kind of like having like your bachelor's degree. So when I first started, I'll be honest with you, I wanted to be known, and the first way was to be an athlete, and I competed in sport karate for a really long time, from 2014 to 2017, and I competed for a national team. I was trying to get on the national team. Karate just got in the Olympics in 2020. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen because of COVID. But it's not happening. But that was my main goal. So I was competing heavily and things like that. In 2017, if you train seriously, you run out of training partners. So things happened where I ran out of training partners. My work schedule, things were just getting really hectic. And at that point, I made the decision to fully commit myself to the future of my dojo and help, because my competition team was growing as well. Because not only was I competing, I was coaching as well. Mm-hmm. And my kids' competition team was growing as well. A lot of them were brown belts, and they needed that extra help, that soul eye and dedication as a coach. And I just I put my dreams to the side, and I was like, you know what, I'm getting older. This is a young man's sport. Let me just invest in my youth. I think I've had enough knowledge. So basically, as an athlete, I wanted to be known. Next was my teaching, and I used every social media platform to try to influence and spread the art. Traditional martial arts are not really popular these days, right. And I wanted to be an ambassador for the art, Mm-hmm. And as I learned boxing and Muay Thai, I started to sort of feel as if I can almost have my own way of striking and my own philosophy and methodology, whether it's using the karate footwork, the boxing head movement, the clinch of Muay Thai, things like that, the bulliness of Muay Thai, So using all these concepts and philosophies, I could have my own method of movement, and I took to there's no better way to spread your message than through the internet, and with the click of a button, you could literally have hundreds of people, like thousands of people, just watching what you're doing. Now it's up to them to see if it's if they like it or they don't. You have no control over that. But hopefully, someone, even if one or two people make use of it, it's cool. So Instagram, I was on Instagram for a long time. I've been growing it. What's funny is my Instagram account, I just started it off as a way to reconnect with my pharmacy friends, because me being out of pharmacy, I feel like I lost touch with them. I still want to show them that I was doing something really cool in another field, and we didn't get to see each other, so I started off as that. Now it's manifested into me logging my training, putting up workouts, putting up drills and things like that. But the truth of the matter is, on Instagram, it's super packed and very crowded, and it's very difficult to grow. It is possible, but it's very difficult to grow. So I was always looking to see where else I can grow. Listen, if you're an entrepreneur or you're someone that's on their hustle, you listen to Gary Vee. And Gary Vee was always raving about TikTok. And I was like, I don't know, man. This is a little fishy, Because you would see these weird ads on Facebook. I don't know if you saw them earlier. Maybe
I didn't.
It was like 2018 or something. But you see ads for TikTok, right? Because before it was TikTok, it was Musical.ly.
Right.
It was which is cool, it's totally fine, right? But not for us, And then they rebranded to TikTok, and then you would see these strange ads on Facebook where people are just lip syncing in these costumes, and it's like, I'm definitely not downloading that, But then Gary Vee is raving about it, and it's like, you know what, man? I don't know. So I secretly downloaded it. I was like, all right, let me just check this out, right? So around September 2019, I just downloaded it. I was like, let me just check it out. Give this guy a chance, because he was always like, I predicted Facebook, I predicted Instagram, I predicted this. TikTok is the next thing, right? So I secretly downloaded it. I kind of gauged. What's funny is I kind of gauged the coolness of it, because I talked to some of the teenagers at the dojo. I was like, hey, you guys have an app called TikTok? And oh, hell no, never catch us on that app. I was like, oh, man, if the teens at the dojo catch you on this thing, man, I'm done.
Yeah.
It's over.
Ask them now, though.
Ask them now, yeah. But it's last year, September, I was oh, man. So I just had a blank account. I was just scrolling through it, just trying to understand the app, When I realized there was massive potential is when I saw a lot of the comedians from Instagram, like King Batch and all those guys on TikTok as well, and had their 1 million followers over there. And I was like, dude, these guys just totally hacked the system,
Yep.
they have their followers on Instagram, they have their followers on TikTok, and this is the other thing, right? So me being Indian, I knew that TikTok was very big in India, and India is the most populated country in the world, So these guys making comedy for Americans would hashtag TikTok India in their hashtag. I was like, man, these Indian people don't know what the hell you're talking about, but they're totally gaming the system, right? And I was like, man, these guys are smart. There's definitely potential in this, and that's when I started uploading content.
Did you use that hashtag at first?
No, I didn't. I got a funny story because I'll tell you in a second. But my reach went to India anyway. So basically, I started uploading content there, and it was very erratic. It was very random. Like I was explaining to a friend that if you go back to my initial post, it was like once a month, like twice a month. And it was just uploading. It's basically if I had time for it, what I'm saying? If I had time for it, I'd post something up there. But I wasn't getting, I was like at 60 followers or something like that. And, around March, I started to, and after a while I was like, let me do a little bit more homework on this and see what other people are doing to get a successful video on TikTok. So I follow this one gentleman who's a personal trainer in New York City, and this guy had around like 20,000 followers on Instagram, but he had 500,000 on TikTok. I was like, what is this guy doing?
What happened?
And all I saw was he was making very good quality videos, right? I felt like my videos were the same high quality, and he was adding text. So in March, like literally 3 months ago, I just uploaded a video of me with one of my clients doing a boxing combination, and I gave like a simple tip, and I added text. That video blew up. Like that was the first video that just blew up. It went from 60, like I got like 300,000 views on that, That video right now is at 750,000 views. And basically it was just a tip. My followers went from 60 to like 6,000, and I was like, whoa, what just happened, And that's when I was like, and that's all before COVID, right before COVID and the quarantine happened in New York. COVID was going on, right? But people are still like, who knows if this is real or not, this and that. And then once in March, a couple of weeks later, quarantine hit, and I was like, man, I started making content every day. I started making content regularly, and I just went to work, and now my following is at 78,000, which is pretty cool. And I definitely do think that it is a great app in terms of spreading knowledge of whatever you're doing,
Yeah. Cool. All right, man. We're going to take one more break. We'll be back in just a few, everybody. You're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network at www.talkingalternative.com. Now, broadcasting 24 hours a day. Talking Alternative.
Do you run or are ready to open your own business? Hi, I'm Jeremiah Fox. I've been operating and opening small business for the last 25 years, and I'm the host of the new show, The Entrepreneurial Web. Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern Time for insights and stories on the nuances of running small business right here on Fridays at noon, talkradio.nyc.
Do you love or are you intrigued about New York City and its neighborhoods? I'm Jeff Goodman, host of Rediscovering New York, a weekly show that showcases New York's history and its extraordinary neighborhoods. Every Tuesday live at 7 p.m., we focus on a particular neighborhood and explore its history, its vibe, its feel, and its energy. Tune in live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on talkradio.nyc.
I'm the aptly named host of Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio, big nonprofit ideas for the other 95%. Fundraising, board relations, social media. My guests and I cover everything that small and mid-sized shops struggle with. If you have big dreams and a small budget, you have a home at Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio. Fridays 1 to 2 Eastern at talkingalternative.com.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
All right, everybody. Welcome back once again, the Entrepreneurial Web. We are kicking the weekend off right with a show not only on martial arts and martial arts values, but also how to effectively use your social media. My guest today, Rahul Bhowmick. He is a martial arts instructor at Bronx Martial Arts Academy, but he's also TikTok famous. So you alluded to this in the last portion, and I just wanted to clarify for people, especially because they're probably listeners who aren't aware of the way kind of social media works and saturation. So there are certain apps like Facebook, which has way more content than users. So it's hard for your content. You put a post out and it's like, why are people not interacting with this? Why do I have no engagement? Why do I have no following? Because there's just too much shit, too much muck and mire, you know? Same with Instagram, it kind of got that way, but they both had very good what they call organic reach early on in their lifespan, where you put something up and there were way more users than there were content, so your content got bumped out to a lot more people just organically without you having to do anything. Now, if you want that to happen on Facebook or Instagram, you basically have to pay, and they'll bump you out to more people. But when you take apps like TikTok or LinkedIn, there are currently way more users than there is content. So you put up a video, it catches, and then boom, all of a sudden, like Rahul experienced, you have, how many views did you say that first one got? 300,000?
That first one got 750,000 right now. Yeah. But even besides that, I have 2 videos that hit 1 million.
Yeah, it's insane. And it just happened. You were putting up the same thing that you were doing before. It's no extra work for you. Just your reach goes ba-boom. Absolutely. And that, my friends, is what they call being TikTok famous. And not for nothing, it can monetize, right? I mean, you take people like Charli D'Amelio, who did the same thing. She was a dancer, she's 15, started putting stuff up. She got TikTok famous. Next thing you know, she's in a Super Bowl commercial.
No, right?
Boomer Esiason, you know? And it was just like, it was only because she put herself out there in the TikTok universe. And so it can monetize. It can really work. So you mentioned in one of your videos I saw just recently, and I think we talked about it the other day, that you have a sponsorship with Venom. Is that correct?
Yes. So, I always worked with Venom. I always had a lot of Venom products. I just love their products. And
tell everybody what Venom is. So
Venom is an MMA apparel and equipment company. What I love about the company is they have apparel and equipment for all arts, for karate, for Muay Thai, for boxing, for fitness. The equipment, and what's great is that they have different lines of the equipment. Something for like elite professional athletes, and then other equipment for like the everyday user. So they have different price ranges for everybody. And I just reached out to them, became a brand ambassador, and I know that my socials had a lot to do with it, in terms of becoming that. So I was really excited.
And how long ago did that start up?
That happened actually like 2-3 weeks ago.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, and social plays a big part in that. So I've been posting, so what happened with me, and we talked about this the other day, I was using TikTok mainly just to underlay beats for my businesses and create. Yeah. I didn't see any other like restaurants and wine stores utilizing TikTok, or any businesses really for that matter. And same thing, like I'm listening to Gary Vee and he's like, get on TikTok. And I'm like, September 2019, I'm like, I don't know, man. This is like nothing but kids. And my kids are like, oh, you got TikTok? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this.
They get hesitant, yeah.
Bro, I was like, no way. But then once I saw what the video editing features were, because I'm always busy, I'm always on the move, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty fast. And for everybody listening, the max length of a video is 60 seconds. You can't make a video more than 60 seconds. There's no long format. most of the tracks are 15 seconds. So they really push out, they want you to make 15-second videos with the vertical orientation, not the horizontal. They definitely prefer the full screen.
Yeah.
So there are certain little things that you can do that bump you up, like you were saying, adding text and stuff like that. So I didn't see anybody else using it for business. So I was like, let's try this because it just gives us a new look. It's something fresh. I get to use the beats, some of the shakes, you could line stuff up with the music. And so I studied music. I studied drums. I have a master's in percussion. So I was like, I get the flow and the beat, and I can line that up. And it was quick and easy. I didn't have to spend a lot of time in like Premiere trying to edit my videos and everything, and like sourcing music from somewhere. So at first it was like nothing but like kids, but then I started to see fitness people even before COVID hit. I started to get like some fitness stuff. I started to see some striking stuff, some jiu-jitsu stuff, some guys just doing like muscle ups and everything, which I'm a huge fan of. And then COVID hit, and it was like, boom, all of a sudden my feed was nothing but like fitness people. And that's when I first saw, one of your videos and started following you. So I was like, okay, I've been teaching. I know a few things. I can demonstrate some things. I started to put them up, and I would, for those of you listening as well, TikTok videos translate very well into Instagram stories. It's the same vertical orientation, and it's 15 seconds for the most part, so they're really nice. I started pumping out some of my fitness stuff in Instagram stories, and an athletic apparel company reached out to me, and they were just like, hey, same thing, you get a code, you get a discount, you get a code. Anybody that orders with your code, you get it's like commission, right? You get a little bit of commission from them. Yeah. That's amazing. I was like, what? It took like 2 weeks for that. I was like, holy,
that's sick.
Really?
That's great.
I didn't do it. I'm too busy. But I was just like, wow, that's amazing how quickly it works and how many people are actually watching.
Everyone is watching.
And these days, right, we got no time to play games. We got to take the money wherever we can get it, right?
Absolutely, yeah, man.
You got to hop on it. So how have things? Go ahead.
No, I said with everything happened with COVID and like security and whatnot, you got to just do your best, to figure out where you're going to get your next check, because nothing is really guaranteed. I'll be honest. I started looking up jobs, and I saw a job to teach kids English in China, and I was like, you know what? If I got to wake up at 4 a.m. to get a check, I got to do what I got to do.
Yeah, right. And that would be remote. You don't have to go to China, right?
Yeah.
So the next thing I was going to ask were how have things changed for you? You were a busy dude leading up to COVID, and same for me. I was teaching a ton, and the great thing for me is the school is right next to my restaurant and right across from my wine store, so I would just like do the circle, and I was at all places every day. But the dojo was like, you ask anybody around here, that was like my focus. That's where I just like couldn't wait to get back in there and either teach another class or take another class. And then that got sucked out, where like my other two places have continued to operate, albeit modified, but I've still worked every day. I'm still pulling like 10-hour days every day. But for you, the school was shut. And how has that changed things for you? What are some of the things you've come up with to be creative? And the TikTok thing has been great because it introduced me to somebody like you, and it's been fascinating. What are some of the other things that you've done to kind of keep staying the fight?
Yeah, so basically, being in charge of a martial arts program, I felt as if it was my responsibility and duty to guide the students through this difficult time. I immediately took to a virtual, so I started going live on Instagram, and I had my students, watch my Instagrams, and I was basically doing 35 minute workouts in the mornings and the evenings on Instagram Live. So that was the first thing I did. After that, I started to do Zoom. And once I never knew about Zoom before, but then once I discovered,
same here.
I started, I think the whole world discovered Zoom. So I started going on Zoom, and I started to teach my karate kids through Zoom, teach my clients through Zoom. And initially it was very strange. On Instagram, I'm just going live, and I literally can't see anybody, but I'm like, so you almost sound like a crazy person, like talking to the phone, and you're just hoping that someone is watching. And there's like viewers, like one viewer at least, But after a while, everybody was looking for some source and some way to maintain their health. So people started logging on, and I had a set schedule. I would teach at 10 a.m. I would teach at 7 p.m. and I would have different routines. Like Monday would be upper body and upper body focus. Wednesday would be legs. Friday would be total body. Tuesday would be Muay Thai. Thursday would be boxing, and then Saturdays would be I teach karate. So I would do that on Instagram Live. Then I went to Zoom, and Zoom was way better because I could see my students, and then I started teaching them over there. I think it's super important that as instructors, as people that have been training the art for a long time, we have to figure out how to train without a partner. Because if you're a serious practitioner, you'll find out that training partners are far and few. As you climb, quote unquote, to the top of that mountain. For whatever the reason may be, people have a lot of responsibilities with family, work, things like that. So, and actually in karate, that's the reason why you have kata, which is forms, which is one way to maintain your practice on your own. So I started to just have my students practice a lot of that. Obviously, sparring is something where you will, have a little bit of a drawback because you don't have a live partner. But I started to come up with a lot of drills with the handball, and I posted those on TikTok as well and Instagram, where you were working on your timing, your reaction, just bouncing the ball off the floor, catching the ball. I do a lot of shadow boxing. I feel like shadow boxing and kata is pretty much the same thing. So
Absolutely.
a lot of shadow boxing, a lot of footwork. So those are some of the things I started to do with my students as I did it myself in order to continue my own training, rediscover new things. And I just pass it on to my students and then just made videos and pass it to everybody else. And I was hoping it would help somebody.
Has the school continued to collect tuition in any form during the shutdown?
Yes, we have. We've been still collecting tuition. We've been providing a lot of the jiu-jitsu instructors, as well as myself, in charge of karate program. We've been pushing out a lot of content for our clients and our students in order to help maintain their training. I always tell my students that it's important to remember that during this time, that the training will not be exactly the same, but something is better than nothing, and you have to adapt. The best people, whether you're a fighter or a businessman or entrepreneur or whatever it is, has the ability to pivot and adapt in stressful situations, as opposed to stopping and getting stuck and just kind of like, crying about it, and just, if you're constantly complaining that my dojo is closed, I can't do this, you got to look at the other side of the coin. You got to focus on what you can do and just take that to the nth power,
Man, that was the knockout. We could end the show now. That was beautiful. That was like the best. We're not, though. We're going to do one more segment. We are going to take a break, however. So we'll be back in just a minute, but that was the gem right there, man. Thank you. Awesome. All right, everybody. We'll be back in just a few. You're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
I'm the aptly named host of Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio. Big nonprofit ideas for the other 95%. Fundraising, board relations, social media. My guests and I cover everything that small and mid-sized shops struggle with. If you have big dreams and a small budget, you have a home at Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio. Fridays 1 to 2 Eastern at talkingalternative.com.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
TalkingAlternative.com.
Okay, everybody, last round. Ding, ding, ding. In the blue corner, Rahul Bhowmick.
What's up, guys?
So you were saying at the end of that was just so eloquent and beautiful, and of that last segment. And it's just like the message, especially if you're training, but if you're in business, it's like, what happens when you're injured? You know, do you give up? Like, I've torn my MCL, I've torn my meniscus, I've had my ankle pop, like all these crazy things. I had hernia surgery, and I'm like, I got to get back in there. And you adjust and you modify. And what happens for you in those situations? Like, I'm sure you train through injuries as well. What happens when you just train through an injury?
I just
smart.
Like, honestly, when I have an injury, like right now, I'm dealing with like really tight left hamstring. I focus on like just other aspects of my body, you know? So right. It's very important to remember that training is not just physical, it's mind, body, spirit, you know? So you got to figure out how you're growing as well. And sometimes constant movement is good to take a pause and then reflect, you know? In traditional arts, you start off the class with meditation, and that's in order to prepare the mind for the class. You know, like famous person once said, you guys probably know, you must empty your cup to fill your cup, you know? So Bruce Lee.
Yep, we say that all the time.
Yeah, empty your thoughts of prior in order to really understand the lessons taught. And after the class, it's important to reflect, you know? So sometimes with a busy lifestyle that people have, whether you're in fitness, business, entrepreneuring, as a parent, you know, or just a regular person. And in this COVID era, which is a super stressful time, it's really important to be still at one point and to reflect on things. So like I said, dealing with a hamstring injury, I'm used to being really fast. And sometimes I have to accept that, you know what, maybe I'm not just as fast, but I will do something else to help, you know? Picking up a book once in a while, relearning maybe the history of karate, relearning the history of boxing, you know, watching tape, watching footage, you know, recording yourself and watching your own footage. Those are different ways to grow mentally, physically, and spiritually as well. And also revisiting your whys, like, why are you still training? I tell the students all the time that the most difficult part of any journey is in the middle. You know, it's in the middle. The beginning is everyone starts, right? And everyone, when you get to the finish line, it feels great. But in the middle is the most difficult. And that's where things get really hazy and confusing. And I tell the students all the time that your reason from the start has to change through time, you know, and it has to get stronger. For example, I started training for the most simplest of reasons because I wanted to be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, you know. Now, if I had that same reason now, you know, it wouldn't really last long. So as you age and you get older and you discover the art, the reason, you know, increases in depth. You know, sometimes you're training because you enjoy being around friends and family that are training with you. You rediscovered your body in different ways. But basically going around the injury, you got to figure out, first of all, from the physical aspect, if you injured your lower body, focus on your upper body. If you injured your upper body, focus on your lower body, vice versa. And if you're just tired and gassed out from the physical training, sit down a little bit, write your thoughts down, you know, revisit your whys.
Yeah. No, that's what I was hoping to get out of you. It's like you just have to adjust. You don't stop. You don't give up. And the same is very true right now, whether you're in business, my prediction is that once they finally open things back up, guys like you and I are going to be really busy because everybody's going to need some fitness, because a lot of people are like, they're watching and they're like, oh, that looks cool. Yeah, I'm just going to eat this burger. So maybe we'll have a more captive audience when things open back up. But yes, the idea is like, don't give up. You know, it's hard. You know, you may be out for a little bit. You know, when I had hernia surgery, I had to take 2 weeks off of teaching, but within 2 weeks, I was back to teaching. I had to modify a lot of things. I had to use other people for demonstrations sometimes, or just know when to not demonstrate that one thing and just talk through it. I'm the same, like, you know, hurting my knee. I had to adjust. I had to protect it, but I got to think in a different way. I didn't quit. I took a few days off, but then I was back in there and it was like, okay. And I got so much better during that period. Like, people were like, you're supposed to be injured. Yeah, why are you like progressing so well? And I think the same is very true right now. It's like you have to keep yourself in the fight some way. You have to keep a foot in the door. Of course, you have to modify. Of course, you have to pivot. You have to do things differently. Reflection. See where else. Like it's like straight up Gary Vee, right? Everything is like an opportunity somewhere else. Like when one door is closed, there's always another one open.
Yeah, you gotta. You know, I think it's important to remember that it's really easy to be. How do I say this? It's really easy to sort of like not be optimistic. You know, you have to fight to stay positive. Being negative is very easy. It's very simple.
Yep.
You're just stopping and being negative. That's like the automatic reaction sometimes. But you have to consciously make it a point to be like, no, there is a way. I have to find a way, and I will make that way. And that resiliency and grit is extremely important in terms of your character, and also you just being successful in what you want to pursue and what you want to do. Which led me to TikTok, you know, like everything about TikTok. I just was like, this could be another opportunity. Let me just give it a chance.
Right. And it's mad awkward at first, right?
Yeah, it's really
like,
awkward.
oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like training, like I remember like my first couple of jiu-jitsu classes and I'm like, this dude's on top of me. Like, what is this all about? Like, why am I here? But by my third class, literally like in my third class, I was like, I'm going to get a black belt. I'm going to do this. And I just like literally have not turned away since then, and that was almost 5 years ago.
Being such a physical sport right from the start, you know, it tests your heart, your character, your tenacity off the bat. And you know, it's some people, they're like, "Whoa, this is major shock value," you know, but it's really beneficial and physically as well as mentally.
Oh, 100%. And you've done a bang out job, like with the martial arts messages, which is funny because we barely even talked about that. I was like, I want you to talk about like social media, you know, and you're like just delivering like the goods, man. It's really awesome. And very kindred because our school is oriented the same way. In fact, there's no competition at our school at all. Like nobody competes. So it's straight up just like mind, body, spirit. Of course, my instructor always says this. Yes, I want you to be a badass. I want you to be strong enough to protect yourself in any situation, but I also want you to have the empathy to know when to be a good person and like balance that out. It's like so important. Like, yeah, you should learn to defend yourself. You should, you know, going back to the reason I chose that quote for the week. I was in a Twitter discussion yesterday with some people. It started about martial arts. I put something out about training and teaching and such. And somebody was like, yeah, this fitness guy, he was like, because there's a lot of fitness people on Twitter as well. And he's like, yeah, it looks like it'd be very beneficial. I guess it's better to have it, you know, and not need it. And I was like, exactly. Like, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, you know, because you never know. But like always just like sharpening that blade, you know, just a little bit. You said something about that earlier too, just like nudging it along a little bit. You know, if you want that tree to come down, hack at it 5 times a day. One day it's coming down. It might, you know, it's not like the knockout where it comes down all at once, but you gotta do those little incremental chip, 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 chip.
Training is also a metaphor for life. You know, I tell my students all the time that I don't really need to know you outside of the dojo. Just from the training you do here for 1 hour, I can sort of figure out.
Yeah.
Doing outside the school, and obviously dealing with kids all the time, you know, kids, teenagers, growing adults, and just adults in general, because we all have room to grow regardless of age. It's important to not let little things like I taught class the other day, and you know, some of the students kept wiping their sweater, this and that. I was like, look, you can't let these little distractions, you know, stop you from holding your stance or holding your technique, you know, or your gi, you know, coming apart a little bit.
Yeah.
No, you're like, you know what? I don't want to go to work today because maybe the sun is not out or something like that, you know. But you know, it's that's the difference with martial arts practitioners. That tenacity, that grit, that constant trudging forward, and that forward movement. You know.
Yeah. No, it helped me, and it helped me from burning my businesses to the ground many, many times. So we're gonna have to wrap up. Where can people find out about you if somebody wants to get in touch with you?
Hey, you can hit me up on Instagram. My username is OZENYC. TikTok as well, OZNYC. And I'm also, if you want to train in person, I'm in Queens. I take clients in Manhattan. And if you're in the Bronx, catch me at Bronx Martial Arts when everything opens up.
Nice. I'd love to connect sometime soon. Maybe we meet up outside and do a little training or something. We have so much in common. It would be great to actually meet up at some point. So let's make that happen. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. Really awesome stuff. I'll talk to you soon. Everybody else, have a great weekend. Stay safe. Stay fit. Keep your guard up. Keep yourself in the fight. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. You're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
Do you run or are ready to open your own business? Hi, I'm Jeremiah Fox. I've been operating and opening small business for the last 25 years, and I'm the host of the new show, The Entrepreneurial Web. Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern Time for insights and stories on the nuances of running small business right here on Fridays at noon, talkradio.nyc.
I'm the aptly named host of Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio. Big nonprofit ideas for the other 95%. Fundraising, board relations, social media. My guests and I cover everything that small and mid-sized shops struggle with. If you have big dreams and a small budget, you have a home at Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio. Fridays 1 to 2 Eastern at talkingalternative.com.
Hey, all you crazy listeners. Looking to boost your business? Why not advertise on Talking Alternative? With simply email at info@talkingalternative.com.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network at www.talkingalternative.com. Now, broadcasting 24 hours a day. Talking Alternative.
Do you love or are you intrigued about New York City and its neighborhoods? I'm Jeff Goodman, host of Rediscovering New York, a weekly show that showcases New York's history and its extraordinary neighborhoods. Every Tuesday live at 7 p.m., we focus on a particular neighborhood and explore its history, its vibe, its feel, and its energy. Tune in live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.